Imagine watching the extremely successful franchise known as Halo grow into an unstoppable IP. Imagine seeing the series strive with every step it takes. Imagine for a moment that you're Bonnie Ross and you're about to become the showrunner. I don't envy 343 Industries, and I certainly don't envy Bonnie Ross, and I can't imagine how foreboding a task it is to take the video game equivalent of Star Wars, fight me, that's what I really think, and follow suit with everything that makes the franchise what it is. I'd say that this is probably the most high-profile switching of game developers in gaming history, at least until that moment. So you can imagine the risk and the concern and everything going into it. Before I get too deeply into this critique, I'd like to preface this by saying I truly do have the utmost respect for 343 Industries and the things that they've done for this franchise, and certainly for the franchise that they hold. So it is with respect that I talk about the things they did to change the franchise and how I feel it has affected the franchise, for better or for worse. In 2010, we were met with a new flavor of Halo unlike anything we'd ever tasted. We were met with something that didn't ask to be compared to its predecessors, as it was its own entity outside of the completed Halo trilogy. Bungie was ready to meet their destiny, but not without one last hurrah. That hurrah was Halo Reach. To say that Reach was controversial is an understatement. Here we have Halos 1 through 3, with an iterative multiplayer that skirted on the boundaries, but knew where its bread and butter lay. And then we had this new entry that dared to challenge what we know or expect from a Halo game. I have a lot of respect for Bungie for attempting to break the mold of their systems in the original trilogy, but I don't personally believe this was the way to do it. Coming hot off the bravado and stoicism of Halo's original trilogy, it made sense that a more mature story was what followed. This is absolutely somewhere that Halo Reach delivered. The campaign did a fairly good job of putting us in this role where we empathize with these characters and want to succeed. The only problem is, from the beginning, you know the end. You know that the story of Reach is one of monumental loss. When we meet the Chief in Halo Combat Evolved, he's the last Spartan, or so we think anyway. So naturally, we assume these Spartans are doomed from the get-go. We're not surprised to find out that George heroically sacrifices himself in what he believes is the final act of the invasion of Reach. We're not surprised when Kat is tragically sniped mid-sentence. We're not surprised by Carter sacrificing himself to allow the package to be delivered, and Emil not going down without taking the bastard that felled him to the same grave. We're a little surprised about June, if we're being honest, but that's another story. We're not surprised that Noble Six went down alone. His lone wolf tendencies followed him to his grave. Halo Reach's campaign was excellent for a fan's consumption, but ultimately shallow. I felt the same of the multiplayer. I had eagerly anticipated playing Halo Reach, and played the beta and enjoyed it. Hell, I played Reach for months. Eventually, I soured on what Reach delivered because I realized it wasn't the experience I played Halo to see. I didn't care for the armor abilities because to me they completely broke the flow of multiplayer that I was accustomed to. Granting abilities to jetpack out of situations, to armor lock yourself out of death completely, to sprint away from others, or into others if you had the sword. I respect the creativity of the entry, and I can accept that this game was trying to do something different, so ultimately I can walk away satisfied. But you can imagine my disappointment when I realized that Halo 4 released, and the multiplayer was essentially a continuation of what Halo Reach had offered. Halo was a part of my life since I was 6 years old and Halo Combat Evolved released in 2001. It was deeply ingrained into me, so I had a strong attachment to it and to what it was, the iconography, the art style, the gameplay. So when I'd realized that Halo 4 set out to meet what I loved about Halo in no real way, I internalized how that made me feel, but it really stung for me. If it weren't for Cortana and the Master Chief having the same voice actors, it would have felt like I was playing a completely different franchise. The art style is the one that really gut punches me. Halo 4 did everything in its power to deviate itself from the previous iterations, even Reach. I was expecting some sort of concession on some front, and was even hopeful to an extent that perhaps I was just not being open-minded to the change. I completed the campaign. It was brilliant. The story was fantastic. I loved the didact. Finding out Del Rio got canned was satisfying. The final sequence in the Saber was almost everything I dreamed of. I was wrong. I was completely wrong. I could put aside the art style and the armor abilities being kept in the game, because that experience was excellent. I liked Halo 4's campaign more than even 3's. Then I played the multiplayer. Infinity Slayer? What's this? I asked myself. I had a customizable loadout, not unlike Call of Duty. That's weird, I thought. I carried on, and did rather well, actually. The sticky detonator was fun to use, and the railgun was extremely fun as well. Suddenly I heard, "Ordnance ready," and was confused. I looked to the bottom of my screen and saw what looked like weapon icons. I pressed for one of the weapons, and was greeted with a power weapon at my disposal. This is a kill streak. Halo has kill streaks now? I was very irritated to realize how far the game had gone to combat the now unstoppable Call of Duty franchise. Halo was at its best when it rested on its own laurels and didn't emulate other franchises. So naturally, you could say that I was unsatisfied with the experience, but I'd never quit the franchise. To be honest, I'm just not capable. My love for the franchise was at a low point, but it never faltered. I craved the old days of custom game lobbies in Halo 3. Team doubles, Fiesta, Griffball. All of that stuff was in previous entries, but for some reason it just didn't scratch the itch with the different mobility systems. The multiplayer itch I'd been looking to have scratched for since Halo 3 was untouched. Not a back scratcher in sight. But then E3 of 2014 came, and with it the announcement that Halo 5's multiplayer beta would be there, and playable within just months. So when it came, I measured myself, I stepped into it, I played a match. Sprint was there, I could take it or leave it, but there was something different about it this time. Like the maps were very deliberately designed for competitive play. The feeling, it started to come back to me. No armor abilities, no kill streaks, the gunplay is tight and responsive. This is it. We're back. We're finally back. Then I played the campaign. And we've all said everything there is to say about it, so I'll keep it brief. I have no connection to a single character in the story that Halo 5 offered. Somehow not even the Chief. Nothing about the campaign stuck, oddly enough. What's strange is that everything was there. The threat, the struggle, the playing as a brand new character 80% of the time, the return of Cortana. Wait. What? Isn't she dead? Didn't she go all sacrificial to save the Chief? Alright. I didn't care for the campaign. And in the previous entry, I didn't care for the multiplayer. It's clear within 343's main entries that they've prioritized one or the other, and perhaps hadn't really settled on really just nailing them both down. Well, we haven't seen the multiplayer of Infinite, and we've obviously hardly seen anything from the campaign either. But I hope to see these things that I perceive as missteps as just that. Missteps. It's important that we talk about the tribulations of the past entries into the franchise. Although Bonnie seems to genuinely feel remorseful for the shortcomings of the previous entries, I do expect Halo Infinite to be a major course correction for the franchise, and this reveal can't come soon enough. I can't ever let go of Halo. I don't have it in me. If it's a main entry Halo game, I can't skip it. I never have and never will. This time around is no exception. I truly hope for the best for Halo Infinite, but the franchise needs a win. There's been a hole that's yet to be filled for years, appearing in different incorporeal places. Still, I'll remain optimistic. Hey guys, I know I keep prattling on about this, but I'm so damn grateful for you guys and all the support. I wanted to say thanks for helping me get to 1,000 subscribers, but I'm a little slow on the draw because we're already at 1,600 as of writing this. I can't believe the positivity and the reception for the content I've been creating. And I really, really, really hope you guys continue to show up and enjoy it. 2 things, okay? This Friday is community night. We're going to get together on MCC and we're going to do a live stream where we play multiplayer together. We're going to have people in the community come join me. I'm hoping to play on console, but I might have to borrow my roommate's Xbox to do so. So we'll see about whether or not we're able to do that. But we're going to have a blast whichever platform we play on. Multiplayer, custom games, the works. I hope you come join me. Oh, another thing. I had some people asking about this. I went ahead and set up a Patreon. It's very bare bones at the moment, but the idea is to just have 2 decently priced tiers. Everyone who's a patron and supports me directly here will get a shout out at my end slate in my videos going forward. The advanced tier will get some additional bonus, but I haven't worked that out yet. Hang in there. I'll get it sorted. I love all of you, and the happiness you've brought me by coming here and giving me this platform is immeasurable. Thanks again, guys. See you Friday.